Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We have a special treat today. Jacob Masters from the Denison Depot is with us. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, Susie. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for being here. And I say special treat because we're talking about Polar Express, yes?
Oh, yes, we have the Polar Express.
Well, this is one of, I think, everyone in the area's favorite thing around this time of year. We're talking about it early because tickets have actually been on sale since July. And if you don't hustle, you don't want to get squeezed out for sure. Let's talk about everything that happens with Polar Express and that famed children's book and how you get to live it.
That's a perfect way to actually describe it. So it really is like a reenactment of the story and the movie. So, it is a real train. You get to board a real train car. There are elves on board. There's Santa Claus. There's storytellers, and they read the story of the Polar Express. They play games. We sing carols. We serve hot chocolate. We serve cookies made by Mrs. Claus. And then when we get to the North Pole, we pick up Santa, and on the way back, he visits with each child and then gives them a bell like he does in the storybook. And it is so much fun. It is just like we do tons of events here at the museum, and hands down, it's my favorite one that we do.
No, I think, yes. Where do these elves come from? You have very good elves.
The elves come from the North Pole, of course.
Of course they do. How does someone local get to sign up to be an elves helper?
They actually can just come to the depot and just come to our front office. Now, they do have to go through railroad safety training, and we are doing another one next Thursday at 4 p.m. here at the museum. But that is the one requirement. They do have to go through a safety training.
Oh, and tell us what's involved with that.
It's pretty simple. It's just we sit down, we talk about what an elf does on the train, and then we also talk about, the safety rules. Things simple as, don't walk on the tracks, things like that.
Yeah.
And everybody does, but we do have to. We're one of the safest Polar Expresses, and so we want everyone to be safe. As this is big machinery moving around, and we want everyone to be safe. So everyone does have to go through that.
There is a network of Polar Expresses. Yes,
Yes,
are
there
you
are.
combined in some way, or everybody's on their own, or how does that work?
That's a very interesting question. So there are several throughout the country. There are 2 in Ohio. We all actually work with a company called Rail Events, and they actually report to Warner Brothers. So there's a copyright on the Polar Express, and it's owned by Warner Brothers. And so we work with Rail Events, who is a train company who actually does and helps us do our, how we do the train ride. So we're all kind of similar, but we're all a little different. Like each of us have, different little nuances that make it special, that make it our own.
Yes.
So the basic gist is always there. You're always going to have the story. You're always going to have the hot chocolate. You're always going to have cookies or some kind of snack. You're always going to have Santa. You're always going to have the bell, the conductor, and those kind of things. But then everything else is kind of like at your own will. So we focus a lot on the movie and excerpts from the book.
Tell me what some of those nuances would be that make you extra special.
Well, we do this thing called the polar coaster. And so if you read the book, there's a line in it that talks about how, it was like the rails were like going on like a roller coaster. So we do this thing, especially when, there's a certain point in the train where it kind of like tilts a little bit and it feels like, you're on a roller coaster. So we throw our hands in the air and we yell polar coaster as loud as we can. And it's just, it's a lot of fun. We also do games like the Elf Limbo. So if you've never done limbo on a train before, it's a little challenging.
Haven't lived, yes.
It's hard enough doing it like, on non-moving, land, and then actually putting you on a train and doing it. But, it's I don't know. It's just, everybody's different. Everyone's got those little things. But those are just a few of the things that we do that add just a little extra to it.
I think one of the other things is the scenery is absolutely breathtaking. You really are traveling through a part of our neck of the woods that absolutely beautiful, and then takes you straight to the North Pole. Talk about that a little bit.
So the North Pole is, we model it after the movie, because there's a few pictures of it in the book, but the movie is really kind of what shows what the North Pole is like. So we have several different buildings when you first enter. So what we always say is that we go through a tunnel, and it's actually an overpass, but it's a tunnel that you go through, and then once you're on the other side of that tunnel, you're in that magical land known as the North Pole. So we have a candy cane garden that grows candy canes, and then we have a hot chocolate tower. and that's where all the hot chocolate comes from. And then we have the First National Bank of the North Pole, because elves have to have money too. So, and we have several buildings like that throughout the North Pole. But then we get to the main attraction, which is we have a 30-foot tree that is lit up, and it is super bright and amazing. It's just awe-inspiring just to look at it. Plus, we have a building that looks very similar to the one in the movie. So it looks like that Pullman Railroad brick building just out of the movie. There's Santa sitting on his sleigh with his giant bag of toys, and the reindeer are ready to go. When you get into the North Pole, it is magical. And then once we reach the end of the North Pole, we stop, and then everybody comes out, and then we dance to Rockin' on Top of the World, just like they do in the movie.
Do people wear PJs at this event?
Yes, they do. That's a question. That's a question we get all the time, and people are always like, "Really? You really want us to wear what now?" And honestly, that's how we can tell who the fun families are, if they all wear matching pajamas. So the only thing we ask about that is that you wear regular shoes, no slippers or flip flops.
Right.
That's just a safety thing.
And also a good idea: put a coat over those PJs.
Oh, yeah.
So the train's warm enough; you can take that coat off inside, but
yes.
Be bundled up.
It could be 7 degrees the day of your trip too. We've had that before.
That's true.
So we've had people come in flip flops before, which we really don't like, but what can you do?
So you also are kind of unique in that you do offer matinees, more matinees than, let's say, other Polar Express train rides around the area. Tell us the advantages, disadvantages. What should we know about our child as to whether the matinee would be a better fit or the light-up nighttime would be a better fit?
Well, we get that question a lot. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head perfect with all these questions.
Ah, thanks.
But, people do ask, because we have a 2 and we have a 4 o'clock, and then we have the 6 and the 8. And, it is magical at all 4 trips. Mm-hmm. It's different because when you ride the 2 and 4, you get to see all the scenery as you go down.
Yes.
At nighttime, only thing you can see are lights. So if you want to look at scenery, then that's the way to go, is to do the matinees. The show is exactly the same. There's no difference in the show. Actually, the 4 o'clock is sometimes a good one as well because, it starts out daytime, but by the time we're getting back, it's, that twilight, dusk period, in December. So also, if you have, little ones, sometimes maybe the earlier ones might be a little better for them. Because they will be able to stay awake a little bit longer.
Yes.
Even the 6 o'clock, by the time we get back, it's 7:30, and that's kind of late for little ones.
For a lot of kids,
so, so that's what we really try to do is we try to push if you have really young ones, try to go with that 2 and 4. Again, it's magical at all.
Always, 4. It's absolutely a beautiful experience. What ages do you recommend, Jacob?
Well, we actually don't recommend ages. What we actually recommend is if they believe in Santa and not afraid of him, because that could be a big deterrent.
Two good points.
Because you can imagine being, he could be scary to anybody.
Yes.
Especially if you're like a 1-year-old or 2-year-old and you're trapped in a small space instead of, like at a mall, it's different. You can run away from him. In a train, there's nowhere to run.
Yes.
So that's what we usually say. There's really no limit on the age necessarily, but we do recommend that if see how they feel about Santa Claus first.
Maybe a sample tryout at a mall.
Yeah, that
and
would be good.
What their behavior would be. You kind of figure it would probably be pretty similar. If they're screaming the whole time, this might not be the year.
Yeah, exactly. Might want to wait one more.
Good idea. Okay, one more. This might be a little personal, but what about if your child is potty training? Is there a way to take care of that passenger?
We don't have anything like that on the train because train bathrooms are very small. Now, we have had that issue before. Most of the time, people are pretty good. They just, take care of it in the bathroom. But again, there's not a lot of space in those bathrooms. So we do have spaces here at the museum and across the street in the Masonic Temple that can be taking care of that. But on the train,
not while you're on
luck.
the train. Yeah,
you
good
can
luck
do
with
it.
that.
I mean, we're not going to stop you, but there's really no place to do it is the problem. So.
Just trying to help families as much as we can.
No worries.
How long is the train ride, Jacob?
It's actually an hour and a half.
Wow. It doesn't feel like an hour and a half.
No, it doesn't. It feels like it flies by.
It does. How do you keep everyone so entertained that entire time?
We're just that good.
You are.
No, I mean, we have, we read the story. We play lots of games. We sing carols. We play the music from the Polar Express. We're at the North Pole for, a while. So, and then, of course, Santa comes. And, of course, he's the main attraction. That's what they want. That's what they really want to see. We just, the storytellers, we're just chopped liver compared to Santa Claus. But, there really is so many activities on board that you don't even realize that it's been that long. Like, we keep everyone entertained the entire time.
Without naming names, I know of a family who Santa, as he was asking a little one what she wanted for Christmas, and the parents sitting across from her for the very first time, or hearing this for the very first time, texting that answer over to the grandparents sitting in an aisle over, who prominently got to the Target app and had that ordered before Santa even went to the next seat.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great story.
Isn't that a good story?
I'm going to write that down.
Without naming any names, she loved it on Christmas morning. It was
fantastic.
It was pretty fun. That was pretty fun. Yeah, we felt like that was a win.
Yep.
So Polar Express, how do you get tickets? How much does it cost? Are there different ways to ride it?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's an excellent question. So we actually have 4 different levels of pricing. So I'm going to start with the base, and then we'll go up to the highest. So the first one is the balcony seating, and the balcony is $42 per person. And if you've ever been a bi-level double-decker car, that's what the balcony is.
Cool.
So you have to walk up a set of steps to get into the car, and another set of steps to get into the second level. The seats don't face each other, and then also the windows are a little smaller.
Okay.
So, and there's not as much room up there as there is on the lower level.
It sounds kind of special, though. I mean,
some people really like the balcony. Some people really like to go up there because it's just different. They don't get to, ride that very often. We don't have like double-decker buses, or things like that, like they do in like England and in Europe. So, people sometimes really like the double-decker.
Are you with other people, or do you have that to yourself?
Well, there's a total of 15 seats on each side, so you can buy the whole balcony. There's a discounted price on that. It's $35 per person if you have 10 or more.
Oh.
You may be seated with other people if the groups are smaller.
Oh, what a good idea. Okay. What else do we have? Other options?
So the next level is coach, and that's the general seating. Usually there's about 50 to 60 people in a coach car. And I probably should point out that the story and all of that is the same across the board. Like, everybody gets the same when it comes to the story, the hot chocolate, the cookies, Santa, all that's the same. So the coach is a general seating. Again, 50 to 60 people in a car. That's really about all I can say about coach. It's just the general.
It's coach.
And then we have, this is new this year, we have a deluxe seating.
Ooh.
And the deluxe is it's a step above coach, below first class, and the car's a little bit nicer. There's less people in it, and also the children who ride get an engineer's hat and whistle.
Oh.
The only difference between them and first class really is that first class gets some extra goodies, and then there are no tables. Now, a first class is $72 per person, and the first class is, they get to wait inside. They get to board first. Deluxe gets to board first as well. They get to wait inside as well with the first class. They get to, there's less people in their car, so it's a little more space, a little more roomy, and there's more treats. So and the deluxe pricing is $62, and then the first class is $72.
Okay.
The children who ride that first class get the engineer's hat, they get the whistle, and they get a little goodie bag full of, toys.
Wow. Okay, so it kind of like an airplane. You can
kind
pick.
of, yeah.
So,
that's a great way to describe it.
Okay. Does everybody limbo? Do you limbo in first class?
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody limbos.
Okay.
And we encourage everybody to limbo, not just children. Although sometimes the adults, it's a little harder.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's just so much fun. Now, when does it all begin, Jacob?
The first date is Friday, December 6th. And so how it works is we do the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then we do the 13th, 14th, and 15th. Now, Fridays, the rides are at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., and then on Saturdays and Sundays, we have that 2, 4, 6, or 8 p.m.
And we want to remind everybody, tickets are on sale now. You are not too early if you decide to buy these. How do they buy them?
They will have to call us. They have to give us a call, and our phone number is 740-922-6776.
740-922-6776. Don't dilly-dally. It's too much fun to miss out on.
I'll tell you, there's already dates that are starting to get sold out.
I was afraid of that. Of that, Jacob. All right, we are going to take a short break. We'll be back with Jacob Masters from Denison Depot after these words. You're listening to Our Community.